My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Season 9, Episode 13, Between Dark and Dawn. So,
Lots of little cameos in that didn't even have speaking roles.
yeah. Well, and basically, Luna and Celestia's, awesome adventure. Just like, yeah, we're just gonna go do all this stuff. Yeah, I thought it was, and B plot, Twilight learns to delegate.
And really needs to learn how to work on her mechanic skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. She needs to work on her artificer skill. She's got a lot of magic she's good at, but she hasn't quite got the artifact stuff working out yet.
Yeah.
Well, though she did realize you needed to put, I think, or it might have been something else, that you got to put the elements back and that sort of thing, but I don't know. I don't remember how that actually came out, but yeah. Anyway, so we open up with the 6 stopping a giant enemy turtle with teamwork, but the sisters join in after the fact with "Halt, interloper!" One thing I will say about this episode is they basically every time they get the chance, they really up Luna and Celestia's vocabulary. We'll be absconding to do a little vagabonding. It's like,
yeah,
kids have no idea what you just said. I mean, maybe context clues they can figure it out, but it's like it makes sense because they don't realize that they're used to dealing with a lot of servants that would have a decent vocabulary or would at least get used to their vocabulary over time, so they don't have to worry about that. And so they just they as long as they've been around, they've developed quite the vocabulary over the time.
Yeah.
Although this is why family vacations tend to suck.
Yeah, kind of do. I find it kind of cute how much smaller Luna is than Celestia.
She's a little small bean.
Something's gone off with your audio a little bit. It's not much, but something changed.
Is that better?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Okay, and then so Celestia, Luna are bored and finding excuses to not be in the castle. It's like, oh, we need to fix a bridge. We're gonna help this Philly guides trip. Oh, we're gonna blow through the door to help Pinkie Pie with cupcakes or whatever she was making at the time.
That was really unsanitary. That was just gross, okay?
Yeah.
Pinkie Pie, but you don't lick the spoon and stick it back in the bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
Double dip is illegal.
Harry.
Yeah. You shouldn't even be, there should be no situation where you're licking the spoon inside of a restaurant. I guess tasting, but you'd immediately put that spoon away and throw it to the dishwasher. Or you take a clean spoon, you put it on a little tasting thing, and then you take from that. That way, you only touch it with a clean spoon, but it's like, yeah, you don't stick stuff back in. Like, in chemistry, as in food, don't stick it back in once you've pulled it out. I know that would get you a giggle, but
I know, and you did that intentionally, which is why I paused for a second, because I'm like, Should I reward that blatant attempt? That was just that was just so intentional. It
It
was
was lazy. Yes, I understand.
it,
It was a lazy, cheap joke, but still gotta laugh. um, yeah,
only
but
because I was being nice.
yeah. So the princes start helping menial tasks. What would happen if they decided to fully put effort into using their power? This is what the show would be like. You're always saying, there's always sort of this. Why aren't Celestia and Luna helping? It's because they would instantly make this show. It's like, oh yeah, if we brought all the powerful unicorn and alicorn power together all the time, it would just break any problem that was like, oh yeah, that was so easy.
Well,
I just had
but
these princesses
It's
come and wipe it
a
out.
sex machina thing.
Yeah.
It's why they got rid of the sonic screwdriver back in the 80s. The Fifth Doctor lost his sonic screwdriver and never was able to rebuild one until I think his 7th incarnation.
true, but it's
Because
okay.
because it was just such a scapegoat, and that's also why
It
they
was a it
created
was a
the whole.
writing crutch. It's like
Yeah,
you don't
it
have to
was
be
just
clever. You just have to say, "Oh, sonic screwdriver."
reverse the
There's
polarity
like
with a neutron flow, and you're all done.
there's like a difference between them helping out with a mild inconvenience and oh my god, Equestria is going to end.
Yeah, and you can yeah. Well, on the sonic screwdriver, yeah, and you can do a sonic screwdriver well if it has clearly defined limits as to what it can do, which scanning and unlocking doors. That's you know giving information about whatever it is it's scanning. Okay, and unlocking doors. But it doesn't work on wood. As long as it still doesn't work on wood, we're good. But yeah,
Unless you give it 200 some years.
I'm all sonicked up. It's totally Sonic. Is that a
A
screwdriver?
sonic blaster, a sonic what? A screwdriver, all right. Who has a sonic screwdriver?
You gonna assemble a cabinet at them? But then again, it doesn't hurt, doesn't maim, doesn't kill. That's why he likes it. Anyway, but yeah,
That is
bringing the princesses on all the time would have been it would have made the show a little more boring. And on top of that, it's a bit like using a cannon to blow over a feather. Like they even took the time to fly. Was it fly Granny Smith across the street? It's like
yeah.
That was Equestria ending right there if she didn't get across the street.
yeah, it's like, and it's a funny thing to think about because you're thinking, if you just look at what, if you didn't know their ages and whatnot, if you saw that or you heard that, you'd think, oh, those nice young princesses helping that old lady across the street. Except for they're much older than she is.
They're like 1,000 years older than Granny Smith.
Yeah, so it's sort of a funny thing oh, these young and spry and healthy princesses helping an elderly lady across the street. Like,
Yeah,
no, that's actually it's kind of reversed because she's tremendously younger than they are.
no, to be fair, I think Granny Smith may be a lot older than we think. She just seems to be everywhere in time.
Well, there was also because there was
She was a filly when they founded the when they founded
Ponyville.
Ponyville, which is kind of like, it seems from the sepia tones and stuff that it was a few centuries ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there's Silver Quill's theory on this. She's a Highlander.
Yeah, but Highlanders don't age after.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Don't overcomplicate the joke. Anyway, so that.
Besides, there can be only one.
I am immortal. Oh. Anyway, so the princes got a wild hair to break their usual routine when they helped Stars rule with the Everfree. They wanted to explore and try new things, out where things are happening. They convinced them to take a vacation, and Pinky suggests basically a bucket list of sorts. The six will take care of things, which it's it's an interesting thing to think about, because if they're retiring, they're going to have opportunity to do everything on that list afterwards. It's like you could just pick a few things and do that. But no, they're like, we're going to do everything on the list. It's like, what are you going to do when you retire? You've already cleared out your bucket list.
Build a new one.
I suppose. Suppose they'll eventually end up with some sort of hobby. They'll figure out some hobby. It's like, oh yes, I'm going to do this little hobby here and here.
Luna becomes a male pony.
that would be Marie Antoinette with her milk churn.
Luna there drinking tea with Derpy. Like, so being a male pony, how does one enjoy it?
And for some reason, I could see Celestia starting a travel agency.
Or she starts doing, like, writing adventure books. Like, she goes on adventures and, or
she's the next daring do.
Oh, no. She goes Bilbo. She writes her book. Complete history of Equestria. Like, from her perspective, complete history of Equestria. Notes on things that only she would know, like what was, this famous count from, 500 years ago actually like. It's like, oh yeah, no, he was sort of a jerk. Make good banana pudding, though. Just...
What, was he Puddinghead's father?
No, descendant, because it would have only been 500 years ago. But, yeah, just stuff like that. Stuff that only she could possibly know. So we find out also that what kind of sets up the conflict for this whole episode, well, it's just that I spend each night in every pony's intense dreams, so I could use some real world downtime. So that's it. I understand, but for me, every day is real world. Meetings and decrees, and meetings about decrees, and decrees about the meetings. I'm not sure how we could both be happy. To which Celestia says, we could take turns doing what we like. And Celestia, sister trip. So, to which Luna likes Hawaiian shirts. Also true. Go ahead. Anyway, but yeah, and then you get the trail mix, which you're supposed to add water. Would have been nice to say that earlier.
Really? Add water to trail mix?
Or whatever it was they were saying. They were saying, like, you need to add water to it or something. So she was like, yeah, you have to add water.
Probably dehydrated macaroni and cheese.
It didn't look like that. It looked dusty as all get out.
I know. Yeah.
Possibly dehydrated oatmeal or something. Just plain oatmeal.
Oatmeal? Are you crazy?
What? You just add water to that.
It was a reference, but okay.
I don't get the reference.
It was a Pinkie Pie. Like, when they're having that whole argument, I think in the one where Twilight gets her wings, the musical episode. Like, they're all arguing, and Pinkie ends the argument. Like, they're arguing. She continues on with, Oatmeal? Are you crazy? It's just a random line with no context. But it's just apparently she was talking about that. Let's see, what was I going to say? Yeah, you have to add water. What do you think? Um, yeah, travel snacks is what she calls it. But I don't know. It was some sort of thing. But anyway. And they leave Twilight with an amulet. You know, they leave her with swanifying and with the amulet to raise and lower the sun. Which she must have at least done once correct, because they get to because at some point they do show a night scene, and as much as they
Yeah.
do, they couldn't have done that all in one day. So, you know,
Not even their super magic.
yeah. So, you know, which would explain why Luna was exhausted, but I think they did it more than that because they went to Jackpot, Trixie's dad, or at least somebody who looks like Trixie's dad, is doing that show at night with the fireworks and whatnot, and that's at night, so she obviously raised the moon at some point and lowered the sun, so she did it enough. It may have just, that last time it may have broke, and she's just trying to get it to work.
Yeah.
It's like,
or just it was apparently a wind up, so she forgot to wind it up, and then oops, you overwound it.
but
Kind
yeah.
of like when you have the old fashioned stop pocket watches.
Yeah. And we get the more the Philly Vanilli and the Philly Vanilli style. Ooh, that's not a terrifying level of responsibility or anything. It's like, thanks for making it worse there, Pinky. Yeah, it's more Philly Vanilli than the one she did in Castle Sweet Castle, which is, yeah, Philly Vanilli was not helpful. Castle Sweet Castle was like, okay, well, I at least understand how you're now explaining it to the audience, why she's finding it so, you know, she's understanding Pinky's working out her understanding and sort of explaining to the audience why things are not great, why she's having such a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the song we get a lot of
Cameos.
yeah, and a lot of interesting vocabulary. Yeah, no pony is a better confidant. You can't saunter on a sojourn, hid behind castle walls. So we're gonna be absconding to a little vagabonding. And this bucket list is gonna be a peach. Yeah. Let's see.
Which is funny because they're princesses.
Yeah, and it's basically them saying, yeah. It's always interesting to see them sort of break that sort of perfect sort of veneer that they have a lot of the times. Yeah, so you can't.
They're breaking all the freaking time.
Nowadays, used to, they were all, Celestia was perfect, and so, you know, had that royal mask and just, this is, I am perfect, and we never really got to see much from her. You'd see little cracks here and there, but you would never see her just having lots of fun and being the sort of trolly, goofy character she can be when she allows herself to be. And we've gotten more and more characterization about what they're like when they let their guard down. Like, Celestia could be a bit bossy and domineering and just like, we gotta go do this, we gotta go do that. And Luna's like, I just want to relax. Like, Celestia's very adventure,
And,
adventure, do stuff, energy, 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 and Luna's just
and
like,
Luna likes
chill.
girly things. Luna's like, I just want to do something girly and fun.
Can
Yeah.
I just, can I just say one thing? Goth Celestia.
Yeah, punker, punker Celestia.
Yeah. Well, we can go through the different activities you see them. You got in at least the first song, you get uh, the big sculptures like the tourist trap stuff. You got the giant horseshoe, which is apparently a thing. A carving of them, which was poorly done, but eventually righted. Let's see. Uh, they went to souvenir shops, um,
Roller coasters.
which is interesting in that wasn't that supposed to be closed down? Like that was the whole point of that episode was that it was about to be closed down, and so like it was one of the last times you could ride it. Maybe it's just a
Yeah,
replacement. Maybe that's the replacement for that roller coaster. Like they changed it up. Let's see, we got uh, a bugbear. Like they're adventuring out and they find a bugbear. Um, they're dancing on the around the rooftops of. Well, Luna's dancing along a rooftop. It looks like Celestia's turned into a kaiju and is terrorizing the city.
Eh,
Um, then then you got him in Hollywood, or the pony equivalent of Hollywood, on in a limo, a cart that's sort of limo-ish. Um, then you just see him on a peach cart. It's like,
because life is a beach.
yeah, yeah. Which I think that's kind of the that seems like the more relaxing and nice aspect of it. Just riding along on a peach cart, eating peaches and riding on a cart through the countryside. It's really quite beautiful countryside. Um, let's see, they went spelunking, uh, the equivalent of Times Square. Then apparently Celestia has a thing for plushies.
what?
She immediately runs. She sees that toy store and immediately rushes over to sort of gather them all around her and just see her head. And then Luna's like, "Really, really, sister?"
They're so cute! Look, there's a plushie of you and me.
Then we got seeing Jackpot's thing. I assume it's in Las Pegasus as well. Though they sort of jumps back around where they are in Equestria. Though given they can teleport. Eh. Um, see, they go to looks like
And
Yakistan at some point.
gods. At least that's how everybody treats them.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
everywhere,
they raise the sun and moon, so
yeah.
they're essentially deities at this point. They're demigods. Um,
And I love how everybody's just fangirling over them and they don't pay any notice.
yeah.
And when Luna falls asleep, and
The
or
Celestia falls asleep at the art museum, and the pony just selfies. Yeah, Luna would like to have some reading time, and she's like, I'd like to just chill and have some reading time. So she's like, no, more adventure. They get the roller coaster, then they go see Wicked, um, which Luna seems to enjoy. Um, then they go over the falls. Let's see.
Or Luna.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want any of this.
And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the name of those falls were the Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
there'd be all sorts of puns. um, but yeah, and then they ride Wonderbolts. I mean, technically, I suppose they do work for them. They are basically commanders
Royal
in
Guard.
chief. So you know that's the whole point of the Wonderbolts. It was for them. So it's like it's like we'll hang with the Wonderbolts. I'm sure that they don't mind hanging with the princesses for a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, how many Wonderbolts can say, how many ponies can say, I just got ridden by a princess?
Yeah.
The innuendo in that.
What?
Uh,
Nothing. Dirty thoughts.
yeah, and let's see where we're at. Okay, yeah, and you get this interesting little last couple lines, the last couple little stanzas. Celestia, you can't venture on adventures if you're taking a nap. You can't check things off your checklist while you sleep. So let's take another hill. Luna, sometimes you can be a pill. And why is the way ahead always so steep? It's like Luna is not the adventuring type. Some adventure, but not as much. I assume it's just that Celestia's just she's energy personified at this point. Just like, yeah, let's do more. Luna's just, oh, come on.
You also have to keep in mind their circadian rhythms.
Yeah, because Celestia,
Luna
she's in the
is up
prime of
all,
what she's normally doing. Luna,
yeah,
it's like,
Luna
I
is up
work at
all
nights.
night, every night. And so trying to stay awake during the day, all day, every day is murder. Like it is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by the point of the end of the first day, she'd have been up over 24 hours.
Yeah, assuming she didn't, they didn't adjust at some point, and that it is, yeah. Anyway,
And it's really hard to adjust, even on your days off.
yeah, well, it's sort of pointless in a way because you're just gonna get right back on that, you know, schedule. So you might as well stay on schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from like raising the moon and all, doesn't Luna's job involve her sleeping at night? To enter Pony's
I
dreams.
think she's actually kind of she maybe has her eyes closed, but she's awake. Like
Mm,
Yes,
it's not restful. It's not a
uh,
restful thing. It's a
she physically manifests herself in their dreams.
yeah.
uh,
So yeah, she's not actually getting rest in that situation. She's actually expending energy, getting into people's dreams and helping them with that and whatnot. Uh, the The Swanifying Committee arrives to assist with the event, but Twilight rebuffs their assistance. Twilight, did you forget what you learned in the opener already? It's okay to ask
Mhm.
for help with something you have never done before or you need help with. The fact that the committee showed up and exists at all means the sisters use their help and expertise. You don't need to outdo the sisters, you just need to hold the fort and caretake right now. You
yep.
just need to be
Exactly.
they're going to be gone for like a week and you're just going to be the caretaker for the week. You know, they know what they're doing. Okay, if nothing else, okay, well, we've never done this before. What do you know about what we need to do to make this thing a success? And then you start planning out of that. Okay, what can I do to help? Okay, we need this, this, and this. Okay, let's start doing that. You know, for someone who values knowledge so much, you sure are dismissing a lot of it in their committee thing. Yeah, because there's no way the sisters can keep up with that sort of thing. Like that's way too much stuff to take care of. In terms of all the all the committees, all the galas, and celebrations and things that they have to take care of. It's like, no, they delegate that stuff. They're like, okay, you do that. You do that. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they try to do their best to help, but, you know, they got meetings about decrees and decrees about meetings and
Who is
decrees
she?
about.
Who is she meeting with? If that, you know,
Yeah, that's the whole point. She's meeting with them to get them to do, okay, you take care of this, you take care of that, you take care of that. We'll get them to do that, and then you tell them we need to do this. It's like you have a whole staff to do this sort of thing. You have Don't forget you have a volunteer. You know, if you have people coming in to volunteer to help, use them. It's like this is when Fancy Pants says, well, this is quite irregular. Immediately get into, you know, how these have been delegated in the past to make sure that you basically at least match what's been done in the past. That way, if they retire between now and the next oneifying, you can go, okay, this is what we did last year. We know what we're doing. Get everybody together. We start doing that, but maybe we do a little twist. We do a little extra something on there. But yeah, use your volunteers. Don't abuse them, but they know what they. Given that they're on the committee, they probably have a decent idea what's gonna go on. They don't even need that list. They probably have it in their head because they've done it a few times, or at least one of them has. I imagine Fancy Pants, with as fancy as his pants are, though he doesn't wear pants. Anyway, so they start. The sisters split up. And start going through their own little adventures on their own because they've irritated each other. After the the zip line, they're starting to get on each other's nerves a little bit. Oh wait, yeah, the zip line, and then man, I skipped a lot there. What did I?
she likes to hog she likes to hog everything. It's like, we just did something you did. Now it's my turn. Yeah, but you'll enjoy this.
Yeah, no, we're going to the post office. Which, I mean, given that Luna was gone for 1,000 years, I mean, the Royal Mail probably didn't come into being until it may not have come into being while she was still in Equestria. So it may be just something fascinating to her, something that wasn't there before, and now there is, and now she gets to experience it first hoof.
I think there's something there that wasn't there before.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called a post office.
Yeah. um, okay, wait. Yeah, okay, wait. There we go. Yeah, okay, there it is. Yeah, it jumped down on my notes. It was returned for a zip line and wow, and some pretty crazy coffee mugs. Luna wants to visit. She is fascinated by the whole mail service idea. She's gone for millennia, I suppose. Surprised the stamp was of a dove and not one of both of their faces or marks, given it's the Royal Mail. You'd think they would have had some stuff with, like, at least, Celestia's butt mark on there. Maybe both. And it looks like she's got a postcard from Van Hoover. Then we get the montage of them doing things in a little reprise as they're starting to get a little annoyed at each other. The spelunking makeovers, which Luna's enjoying sort of an 80s revival, given that she was not there for the pony equivalent of the 80s. So she's quite enjoying that, while Celestia's less enthused.
She's got Straight up rocker chick.
Yeah, she's gone a little punk there. Um, Skydiving, which ruins Luna's 80s do. Um, Luna seems fascinated with the art, but we get the American Gothic off to the side, it looks like, or equestrian Gothic. Um, and in the background, you can also see sort of a painting of a dragon. We see the discus thrower. I think the team just had a heck of a fun time doing the backgrounds and what's going on around them, because there's not a lot going on here, action wise. So they just sort of, okay, let's have fun with the background. Celestia's dragging them around. Celestia falls asleep at the museum, like we talked about.
Yeah, I think the artists just were like, how many Easter eggs slash just little things can we stash in there and see if they can actually catch them?
Yeah. Then we get the sort of breaking up for a while. Celestia, oh, you just face it, Luna. You're never happy because you don't want me to be happy. I always have to do things your way. I bet you wish I'd never come back so you could still rule day and night. Wow, that was some getting out some tension. See, you think I like that kind of pressure? Being responsible for every little thing in Equestria, and you? What I like is a... And then she goes, Royal Canterlot voice, sister I can depend on. Ooh, Luna, you mean boss around. Luna, she calm down, Luna. No, and don't you dare use your Canterlot voice on me. I think this adventure would be better if I did it by myself. Fine, I just remembered something I forgot I always wanted to do. Be alone. Luna, tearing up. Guess we have the same thing on both of our lists then. Yeah. So, yeah, some serious angst and some stuff that, old wounds being reopened there. It's like, ouch. I mean, I imagine things have gotten better since A Royal Problem, but they still... You had to send your sister away for a millennia. It's going to take a while to sort of fully heal all the problems and work out your relationship to a point where, you really get along super well. And then we get Fancy Pants revealing to Twilight the sisters never do all the work for these things. That's what the committees are for. And she starts to understand delegating. Which is what she should have done from the first part, but...
We're gonna delegate.
Yes. Meaning, we're gonna get other ponies to do what we need to do. Celestia is terrified of chickens, apparently.
Well, they do bear a striking resemblance to basilisks.
Oh, yeah, cockatrices. Yeah.
Cockatrice.
Yeah. Basilisk would be like
the opposite.
That would be like a lizard. Legless lizard or a snake-ish sort of thing. So the two miss what the other does for them. They eventually settle, such as like Luna always did the navigating. So they eventually settle in to watch the sunrise together. I assume the go ahead.
Apparently, ponies can sunburn.
Yeah,
yep.
That too. Oh, yeah, Celestia would have reminded me. Given that the sun is her thing, it's like, yes, what I work with every day will burn you if you don't take care on your sunscreen. I already talked about the amulet, and then we get the sort of finishing exchange before things happen. They head back to the castle to help Twilight work out the amulet. This is so beautiful, it must be amazing in the sunlight. Celestia, the night's pretty special too. Lucky Star, you taught me to look for them when I was a filly. Hope I wasn't too bossy doing it. You know, being your sister all the time is hard, but being with your sister all the time is hard, but being without her, it's even harder. Celestia, I do know, and I wouldn't trade you for any of the adventures on my list. Luna, not even your zip line. And she crumpled, just that nice little crumple zap to get rid of the paper. Not even my zip line. Luna, I'm sorry I said those things before. Sometimes it's just tough being little sister. And Celestia, it's not always easy being the big sister either. I'm sorry too. And so they sort of, it's like, yeah, they said some things that they didn't really mean, and just, or they really meant, but they didn't really want to say at this point. They didn't want to be hurtful about it. And so they sort of,
not use your Canterlot voice on me.
yeah. But yeah, it's like, you can see, it's interesting they expose those insecurities that Luna is worried that Celestia just wants to take everything for herself and doesn't really care that Luna's back. And, you know, what was it? And Celestia, let's see. Yeah, it wants somebody that she can depend on. And so, just like, they're both sort of cutting at each other with their sort of insecurities about the other being back. And, you know, the few years it's been since since Luna's return, they've worked through a lot of it, but I imagine it's going to take a while to get those two back to where this trip was good for them, because it probably helped work out some of their issues.
Yeah.
It's like, they got some time to just relax, decompress, and, you know, take care of, you know, some time together where they could actually work some of these problems out. But
it was a good little slice of life episode.
yeah, this was, well, it was a great episode for references and things in the background, like, and that song was really good. I really love that line of, so we're absconding to do a little vagabonding, you know, and
We noticed.
yes. I don't know why, it's a great couple lines there. I just like the word that they're using, absconding. It's not used a lot, so it's like, vagabonding's fun too, but absconding, I like that. I like words.
Yeah.
And for this
Is that why you're such a dictionary?
And by the amount I talked this episode review, I seem to like my own voice as well. So, like the sound of my own voice. So.
What do you mean this episode?
Well, I mean this episode, especially right now. But yeah, I tend to talk a lot. Then again, I have the notes. So I mean, you have notes too, but like I have like utterly ridiculously detailed notes.
I sometimes do, but I don't tend to do notes with the MLP because you do.
Yeah.
I usually just tend to do notes on stuff like the Orville or Unit or DuckTales, stuff like that.
Which I don't tend to do because you know DuckTales so well that I can just sort of generally either do, you know, summaries or something, and then we can hit little bits and pieces here and there. Anyway, anything left to say about this one? It was fun.
No,
Yeah,
good episode.